welcome, incredible mental upgraders, to another transformative episode of Mental Upgrade Podcast. I'm Lina.
And I'm Daniel. And Lina, I have to say, the energy from our last episode on motivation was just electric. My DMs were flooded with people sharing their whys and how they're planning to implement those mini rewards. It's truly inspiring.
It really is, Daniel. It shows that so many people are hungry for this kind of knowledge, for tools to genuinely improve their mental well-being. And we're just thrilled to be on this journey with all of you. Seriously, thank you for showing up, for engaging, for being part of this community.
Couldn't agree more. And today, we're diving into a topic that honestly feels like the natural next step after understanding motivation, because once you're motivated, you need to make sure that engine is running on the right kind of fuel. We're talking about rewiring your brain for positivity.
Oh, this is a game changer. Because let's face it, Daniel, for many of us, negativity just creeps in. It feels like the default setting. And if you've ever felt stuck in a loop of negative thoughts, this episode is absolutely for you.
Exactly. Our goal today is to explain in the simplest terms possible how your brain actually can change its fundamental thought patterns. It's called neuroplasticity. And then we're going to give you concrete, actionable strategies to actually start bending your brain towards a more positive outlook. No magic tricks, just science and consistent effort.
We're going to break down why negativity feels so natural, what neuroplasticity really means, the daily habits that literally rewire your brain, and how to shift from feeling like a victim of your thoughts to being the creator of your mental reality. Are you ready to get started, Daniel?
Lina, my brain is already buzzing with excitement. Let's do this.
So, Daniel, let's address the elephant in the room first. Why does negativity feel so incredibly natural to us? Why do we dwell on one bad comment when 10 good ones came in? Why does that one mistake overshadow all our successes?
Lina, welcome to the Human Brain version 1.0. It's all thanks to something called the negativity bias. And it's not some flaw in your character. It's an evolutionary masterpiece, believe it or not.
An evolutionary masterpiece? That sounds a bit counterintuitive when it makes us feel so crummy sometimes.
I know, right? But think about our ancestors. Picture a caveman or a cave woman roaming the savannah. Their survival depended on being acutely aware of threats. Was that rustle in the bushes a gentle breeze or a hungry saber-toothed tiger? Was that berry delicious or poisonous?
So, paying more attention to potential dangers or negative outcomes was a survival mechanism. The caveman who spent all his time basking in the positive sunshine might have been eaten.
Precisely. Our brains are wired to prioritize negative stimuli because back then, the consequences of ignoring a threat were far more dire than missing out on a positive opportunity. This is why negative experiences tend to stick to us like Velcro, while positive ones often slide off like Teflon. We're wired for survival, not necessarily for constant happiness.
So it's not that we're inherently negative people, it's just our ancient brain trying to keep us safe in a modern world where saber-toothed tigers are usually just annoying emails.
Exactly. But here's the catch. That ancient wiring, which was so useful for physical survival, can become a real hindrance in our modern lives because now that hypervigilance for threats translates into things like dwelling on criticism, overthinking social interactions, anticipating the worst-case scenario, and constantly looking for what could go wrong.
And how does this negativity bias actually show up and affect our daily lives, particularly our productivity and relationships? Because it's not just a fleeting bad mood, right?
Oh, it has ripple effects. Let's start with productivity. When your brain is constantly scanning for threats or dwelling on mistakes, it's diverting energy away from problem solving, creativity, and focused work. You spend more time worrying about what might go wrong than actually making things go right.
So instead of tackling the task, you're mentally running through all the ways you could fail or how someone might judge your work? That sounds exhausting and inefficient.
It is, and it leads to analysis paralysis, where you're so afraid of making a mistake that you don't even start. Or you might work on something, but your negative self-talk is so loud that it saps all your motivation and enjoyment from the process. You might even avoid opportunities because of a fear of failure or a fear of success, which is a whole other thing.
That's a good point. And what about relationships? Because if you're constantly seeing the negative, it must affect how you interact with others.
Absolutely. The negativity bias can make us quick to interpret neutral actions as negative, or to remember the one time someone slighted us over the countless times they've supported us. It fosters suspicion and resentment.
So, your partner forgets to take out the trash one time, and your negativity bias might blow that up into, they never care about me, instead of, oh, they just forgot.
Precisely. It makes us less forgiving, more critical, and often more defensive. We might withdraw from social interactions because we anticipate rejection or criticism. We might also project our own insecurities onto others, assuming they're thinking negatively about us.
And I've seen this happen with friends, or even myself. If I'm in a negative headspace, I might interpret a joke as an insult, or a direct question as an accusation. It just twists everything.
It does, and this creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you constantly expect people to disappoint you or let you down, you might unconsciously behave in ways that push them away, or you might only notice the evidence that confirms your negative beliefs. It erodes trust and intimacy.
So, this negativity bias, while originally a survival tool, can now actively sabotage our mental peace, our work, and our connections. That's a pretty strong case for wanting to change it.
Definitely, but the good news is, just as our brains learn to be hypervigilant for threats, they also have an incredible capacity to unlearn that hypervigilance and develop new, more adaptive patterns. And that's where neuroplasticity comes in. Okay, Lina, now for the superhero of our brains, neuroplasticity. This is the concept that should give everyone listening a huge surge of hope, because it literally means your brain can change.
Yes, I remember hearing about neuroplasticity years ago, and it just blew my mind. For so long, the conventional wisdom was that once you reached adulthood, your brain was pretty much fixed. Like concrete.
Exactly. It was thought that you had a set number of neurons and connections, and that was that. But thankfully, science has proven that idea completely wrong. So, in simple terms, what is neuroplasticity?
In simple terms, neuroplasticity is your brain's amazing ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. Think of your brain not as a rigid, fixed structure, but as a dynamic, constantly evolving landscape. It's like silly putty, always ready to be reshaped.
Silly putty, I love that. So it's not just about learning new facts, but literally changing the physical pathways in your brain based on our experiences, thoughts, and actions.
Precisely. Every time you learn something new, practice a skill, or even think a thought, you're subtly changing the structure of your brain. It's like your brain is constantly updating its own software and hardware based on how you use it.
So if we constantly practice negative thinking, our brain gets really good at that. It builds superhighways for negativity. But if we practice positive thinking, it can build new superhighways for positivity instead.
You've hit the nail on the head, Daniel. That leads us directly to how repeated thoughts actually mold your mind. Every thought you have, every emotion you feel, every action you take activates specific neural pathways in your brain.
So if I think I'm not good enough 100 times a day, those specific neurons related to I'm not good enough are firing together, strengthening their connection.
Exactly. It's the famous neurons that fire together, wire together. The more often a particular thought pattern, emotion, or behavior is activated, the stronger and more efficient the neural pathway becomes. It's like carving a deeper groove in a record. The needle just falls into it more easily each time.
And that explains why ingrained habits and thought patterns are so hard to break. Your brain has literally paved the way for them.
Exactly. Imagine you have a vast, open field. If you walk the same path across that field every single day, eventually you'll create a well-worn path, maybe even a small trail. It becomes the easiest, most automatic way to cross.
And your brain does this with thoughts. If your default thought is, I'm going to fail, that path becomes the easiest and fastest one for your brain to take.
Right. So, the goal of rewiring your brain for positivity isn't about magically deleting the old negative pathways. It's about consciously and consistently creating new, stronger, more positive pathways. It's about walking a new path in that field until it becomes the new well-worn trail, the new default.
So it's not about ignoring negative thoughts, but about actively choosing to direct our attention and energy towards more positive, constructive ones.
Absolutely. It's about building an alternative. Over time, as you strengthen these new positive pathways, the old negative ones become weaker, less frequently used, and eventually they start to fade or become less dominant. It's like letting the grass grow back over the old, unused trail.
That's incredibly empowering. It means that regardless of how negative our past thought patterns have been, we literally have the power to reshape our brains, to create a more positive internal landscape.
It gives us agency. It shifts us from feeling like victims of our mental patterns to empowered architects of our own minds. And that's the core message we want everyone to take from this segment. Your brain is not fixed. You can change it.
And the next step is, how do we actually do that? What are the practical steps?
Okay, Daniel, this is where we get into the actionable stuff. Knowing that our brains are plastic and our thoughts mold them, what are some daily habits that can literally rewire your brain for positivity?
This is my favorite part because these aren't just feel-good practices, they're scientifically proven methods to induce neuroplastic changes. The first one, which you hear about everywhere for a reason, is gratitude.
Oh, gratitude. It sounds so simple, right? Just be grateful. But how does it actually change your brain?
It's fascinating. When you practice gratitude, you're intentionally directing your attention to positive aspects of your life. This activates the reward centers in your brain, specifically the medial prefrontal cortex, which is linked to learning and decision-making. Over time, consistently activating these areas strengthens the pathways associated with positive emotions and experiences.
So it's not just about feeling good in the moment. It's literally training your brain to look for and notice the good things more often.
Exactly. It shifts your attentional bias. Instead of defaulting to problems, your brain starts to seek out blessings. A simple practice is a gratitude journal. Before bed, write down 3 to 5 things you're genuinely grateful for that day, no matter how small. It could be a sunny sky, a good cup of coffee, or a kind word from a colleague.
I've done that, and it really does shift your perspective. Even on a tough day, finding those small things forces you to reframe. What's next on your list?
Next up is journaling, more broadly. This isn't just about gratitude, but about expressing your thoughts and emotions. When you write, you engage different parts of your brain than when you're just thinking. It helps you process experiences, identify patterns, and gain perspective.
So it's like an external hard drive for your brain. You're offloading and organizing your thoughts. How does that specifically rewire your brain?
It helps in several ways. Firstly, it reduces the emotional intensity of negative thoughts by giving them an outlet. When you write down your worries, they often seem less overwhelming. Secondly, It helps you identify cognitive distortions, those irrational thought patterns that fuel negativity. When you see them on paper, they're easier to challenge. And thirdly, it fosters self-awareness, which is the first step to changing any mental habit.
So it's a way to become an observer of your own thoughts, rather than being swept away by them. That makes sense. What about the power of meditation? This one feels very brain-focused.
Absolutely. Meditation, particularly mindfulness meditation, is like a gym for your brain. It strengthens areas associated with attention regulation, emotion regulation, and self-awareness, specifically the prefrontal cortex, the anterior cingulate cortex, and the insula.
So when you sit quietly and focus on your breath, and your mind wanders, which it always does, and you gently bring it back, you're literally doing reps for your brain's focus muscle.
Exactly. You're strengthening the neural pathways that allow you to direct and sustain attention and to detach from distracting thoughts. Regular meditation has been shown to decrease activity in the amygdala, which is the brain's fear center. This makes you less reactive to stress and more resilient to negative emotions.
That's huge. So it helps you calm down and stay present. And what about affirmations? This one sometimes gets a bad rap, or people think it's just wishful thinking.
It can if done superficially, but when done correctly, affirmations are powerful tools for brain rewiring. An affirmation is a positive statement that you repeat to yourself, usually in the present tense, as if it's already true. For example, I am capable, or I attract abundance.
So how does saying I am capable actually change your brain if you don't feel capable? Isn't that just lying to yourself?
Great question, and that's where the nuance comes in. It's not about blindly lying. It's about reprogramming your subconscious mind. When you repeat affirmations, especially with genuine belief or the desire to believe them, you're creating new neural pathways that support those positive beliefs. You're consciously challenging the old negative grooves.
So it's like a consistent whisper that eventually becomes a shout in your brain.
Exactly. And neuroimaging studies have shown that repeating affirmations can activate the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, which is involved in self-related processing and value encoding. It literally helps your brain start to value these new positive beliefs. The key is consistency and combining them with action. Don't just say I am capable and do nothing. Say it and then take a small, capable step.
That makes it so much more powerful. So how do we put all these pieces together to create a sustainable positive routine? Because it can feel like a lot to add all at once.
That's a crucial point. It's not about doing everything at once. Start small, build momentum. We talked about this in the last episode. Pick 1 or 2 habits to begin with. Maybe just 5 minutes of gratitude journaling before bed, or 5 minutes of mindful breathing in the morning.
And then, once that feels comfortable, you can layer on another. Maybe add a 5-minute affirmation session while you're brushing your teeth.
Yes, the concept of habit stacking is perfect here. After I do X, I will do Y. For example, after I pour my coffee, I will write 3 gratitudes. Or after I sit down at my desk, I will take 5 deep breaths.
And consistency is key, not intensity. A little bit every day is far more effective than an hour once a week. Your brain responds to repetition.
Absolutely. And be patient with yourself. There will be days you miss. That's okay. Don't let one missed day derail your entire effort. Just pick it up again the next day. The goal is progress, not perfection.
So these habits, gratitude, journaling, meditation, affirmations, aren't just feel-good fluffy stuff. They are legitimate, science-backed tools for actively reshaping your brain's fundamental operating system towards a more positive default. That's incredibly exciting.
Lina, this final segment feels like the culmination of everything we've discussed today, because once you understand the negativity bias and the power of neuroplasticity, you realize you're not just a passive recipient of your thoughts. You have agency. So, this is about shifting from victim to creator.
Yes! It's about taking back your power. For so long, many of us have felt like our thoughts just happen to us. Like a stormy day and we're just stuck in the rain. But what we're saying is that you can actually influence the weather inside your head.
Exactly. The first step is to assume control of your internal narrative. Your internal narrative is the story you tell yourself about yourself, your life, and the world. It's that constant monologue happening in your head. For many, especially due to the negativity bias, this narrative can be quite harsh, critical, or defeatist.
So, if my internal narrative is, I'm always messing things up, or things never work out for me, that's the story I'm living, and it's reinforcing those negative neural pathways.
Precisely. And this is where the victim mentality comes in. When you view yourself as a victim, you're essentially relinquishing your power. You're saying, things happen to me and I have no control. This creates a sense of helplessness and resignation.
Which then feed back into more negative thoughts, creating a terrible loop. So, how do we start to shift that narrative? How do we stop being the victim of our thoughts and start creating a new story?
It begins with awareness. As we discussed with journaling, you need to identify what your current dominant narratives are. What are the common themes of your internal monologue? Are they empowering or disempowering?
Like catching yourself when you start saying, oh, this always happens to me, or I just can't do that.
Exactly. Once you're aware of these disempowering narratives, the next step is to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this thought absolutely 100% true? Is there any other way to look at this situation? What evidence do I have against this belief?
So, instead of, I always mess things up, you might ask, have I ever not messed something up? What did I learn from that mistake? What did I do well today?
Perfect. And then, once you've challenged the old narrative, you actively start to create a new one. This is where those daily habits like affirmations come in. You replace, I always mess things up, with, I am learning and growing, and every experience is an opportunity to improve.
So it's not just stopping the negative story. It's actively writing a positive, empowering one. You're giving your brain new lines to rehearse.
That's it. You're becoming the author of your own mental script. And this isn't about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about approaching challenges from a place of agency and possibility, rather than helplessness.
Let's give some examples of real changes and how people have applied these principles. Because it sounds good in theory, but how does it work in practice?
Okay, let's take someone struggling with a career change, feeling stuck and believing they're, quote, too old to learn new things. Their old narrative is, I'm stuck, I can't change.
That's a common one.
Right. A victim approach would be to complain, stay in the unfulfilling job, and blame external factors. A creator approach, armed with neuroplasticity knowledge, would involve awareness, recognizing, okay, I'm telling myself I'm too old. Is that helping me? Challenging. Is it really true that no one learns new things after a certain age? Look at all these examples of people changing careers later in life. Rewriting the narrative. Affirmations like, my brain is capable of learning new skills at any age, or I am excited to embrace new challenges. Action, small steps. Signing up for an introductory online course, reading one article about a new field, talking to someone who's successfully changed careers. Each small action reinforces the new belief.
And each small success, no matter how tiny, gives their brain a little hit of dopamine and strengthens that new I am capable pathway. It builds momentum.
Exactly. Here's another one. Someone constantly worried about what others think of them, feeling socially anxious. Their victim narrative is, everyone judges me, I'm not good enough.
So relatable.
Instead of avoiding social situations, a creator approach would be awareness. My brain is defaulting to the belief that people are judging me. Challenging. Is there any evidence that everyone is judging me? Or is it more likely that most people are focused on themselves or are actually friendly? Rewriting the narrative. Affirmations like, I am enough, or I am confident in social settings. Action: attending a small gathering with one trusted friend. Practicing making eye contact with strangers for a few seconds. Sending one text to initiate a conversation instead of waiting.
I love that. It's about taking those tiny steps that chip away at the old belief and build up the new one. It's active participation in your own mental evolution.
It is, and the beauty of this from victim to creator mindset is that it's not just about positive thinking, it's about empowerment. It's about realizing that you possess the capacity to shape your internal world, which then profoundly impacts your external world. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who chooses which thoughts to entertain and which pathways to strengthen.
And that choice, made consistently, is where true transformation happens. It's where you move from passively reacting to life to actively creating the life you want, starting right in your own head. That's the ultimate mental upgrade.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Lina. This shift is profound, and it's within reach for everyone listening.
Wow, Daniel, what an incredible journey we've taken today. From understanding why our brains are wired for negativity, to embracing the incredible power of neuroplasticity, diving into daily habits that literally change your brain, and finally, realizing that we can all shift from being victims of our thoughts to true creators of our mental reality.
It's truly empowering, Lina. We've learned that our brains are not static. They are incredibly adaptable. Every thought, every action, every intentional practice of gratitude, journaling, meditation, and affirmations is literally reshaping our neural pathways.
Remember, the negativity bias is an evolutionary remnant, not a personal flaw. And with the understanding of neuroplasticity, we have the power to consciously choose to strengthen pathways that serve us better. Pathways of positivity, resilience, and growth.
It's about consistency, not perfection. Start small, stack those habits, and be patient with yourself. Every single positive thought you choose to entertain, every moment of gratitude, every breath you bring awareness to, is a step towards a more positive and fulfilling mental landscape.
You are the architect of your mind. You can rewrite your internal narrative. You can choose to be the creator of your thoughts and your life. And that is the essence of what Mental Upgrade Podcast is all about.
And we are so incredibly grateful that you're on this journey with us. Your engagement, your comments, your shares, they fuel us and help us spread this vital information to more people who need it.
So if you found value in today's deep dive into rewiring your brain for positivity, please do us a massive favor.
Hit that like button right now. It truly helps us know what content resonates with you. And if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to the Mental Upgrade Podcast channel so you never miss an episode. We have so much more planned for you.
And please, share this episode with someone who you think could benefit from learning how to shift their mindset. Someone who might be stuck in a negativity loop, or anyone who just needs a dose of mental empowerment.
We also absolutely love hearing from you. In the comments below, tell us, what's one specific daily habit you're going to try to integrate to rewire your brain for positivity? Or what's a negative thought pattern you're ready to challenge and rewrite?
Your thoughts and experiences enrich this community so much. Thank you for being such an active and engaged part of the Mental Upgrade family.
We'll be back soon with another powerful conversation to help you elevate your mind. Until then, keep those brains rewiring.
See you next time, Mental Upgraders.